Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first day of Academy action here as we are going to be kicking off week number 6. My name is Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns. I am once again joined by Mr. Alberto Crumbs Renjifo as we are about to hop into the action and bring you 5 fantastic games of quality Academy action.
We sure are, Flowers, and Academy keeps delivering because there continues to be roster changes.
Oh, baby, roster changes, shakeups, no matter what point of the split those are coming along in. Those are always going to be exciting. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of them today. We are going to be seeing some exciting stuff out of both Evil Geniuses and TSM, but let's go ahead and look at the schedule first of all. Jumping into what we're covering, we're kicking it off with Team Liquid Academy opposite Evil Geniuses Academy. Then TSM goes up against 100 Thieves, and Cloud9 Academy will aim to take down FlyQuest Academy with our last 2 matches rounding out the day before we call it here on this lovely Thursday afternoon. Now, moving forward after that, we're going to go ahead and kick things off with the Samsung SSD Fast 5. This is that weekly leaderboard for all 5 roles that look at how to tell how quickly they individually excel. Crumbs, what do we got here?
Well, we're going to start things off with not a lot of changes. Right? There wasn't any changes in the jungle, and there was only minimal changes to any lane. So in the top 3, you now have mid lane Froggen jumping in 6 spots into 3rd place, and bot lane saw a decent shakeup down there. As you can see now, in the bot lane, you're going to have Keith, who jumped 8 spots to land himself in 1st place with a 10k gold lead time of 21:33. This is what happens when you play to Keith's lane. He delivers. And you got Wind, who held on to 2nd place, while Lost jumped 2 spots in the top 3. Now, Apollo and Asta both fell from the top 3 into 4th and 5th place, and Wild Turtle is making his way up from the bottom after jumping 3 spots into 9th. So the biggest one for me was the Keith show. We had never seen Golden Guardians play a bottom lane before. This was a time where they did it, and boy, he really crushed that bot lane.
And now that we've got the little bit of the housekeeping taken care of, we've covered the stats, look at who's popping off, especially early on, hitting those markers the quickest. Let's go ahead and jump into today's action and talk about that first matchup we will be witnessing here today. We got Team Liquid Academy going up against Evil Geniuses Academy, and for Evil Geniuses, things are being switched up a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, it's Kumo in the top lane.
That's right, and this might be a difficult time for the Academy team to shake things up, as Team Liquid smashed CLG last week and then turned things around to beat EG. That was what CLG had done. Now, the composition that Team Liquid ran, I think the interesting part was that Jenkins got his cannon, but Yasui is playing a lot of Irelia. He has a really powerful mid lane Irelia, and so does Giyu. Now, these are the priorities that Team Liquid has shown. Not very good, but they also don't have many wins, so it really just shows that it's something that they found some confidence in, whereas for EG, 3 picks, 4 bans against, and the same 100% win rate. So I think today we're going to see more emphasis on the mid laners because of the absence of Huni, which means that Irelia is probably going to go up in priority, whether that is first ban rotations or being picked in the first 3 picks. It's really important that these mid laners feel like they can go for solo kills. They're that kind of bloodthirsty, and it's showing in the ISO death. Now, those aren't entirely in the laning phase. Yeah, they get picked off, but sometimes they also get the kills.
A lot.
It is a lot, right? It's almost like it happens every game, but usually happens one game more than in another. And the solo kill, I think, is the biggest one for me because all the other stats are kind of the same, and Yasui getting twice as many is just a testament to him trying to really do a lot more on his own, while Giyu's trying to also hone in his mage skills this season and make sure that he's playing with the team.
Well, you're definitely right. They're going to have to tone those ISO deaths down a little bit. I mean, League of Legends, you win it by either outplaying your opponents and making the big decision at the right heat of the moment time to really lock in the victory, or you do less dumb stuff than your opponent does. ISO deaths are typically going to fall into that dumb stuff category, whether you just weren't paying attention to the state of the map, you put yourself in a vulnerable position, or maybe you shouldn't have been able to be killed off there, but the team wasn't in the right spot because the communication wasn't there. Either way, ISO deaths are one of those things that VOD reviews should always accompany and look at how can we manage to keep our boys out of the gray screen simulator for 45 seconds next time around.
It is a huge deal to die off on your own because sometimes you can justify it when maybe you have somebody split pushing and then the enemy team sends everybody down to pick you off. But as long as your team is in the position to say maybe take a Baron or take an objective if it's post 20 minutes or even earlier, then I think it can be a little bit more acceptable. But the ones that really hurt are you're dying alone in the lane, right? You're getting ganked in the position that you knew where the jungler was coming from. Those are the kind of ISO deaths that really should not be happening, that your team is in no way or in no position to gain an advantage from you being overextended. So those are the ones that you really need to make sure never happen again.
It's not just about the death, it's about the consequences of the death, right? I mean, if you just get picked off and nothing else really happens, you know, that's bad, but we're not exactly having to cancel all our plans because of it or anything. But if you get picked off over and over again and your opponents consistently can take objectives and then win other things afterwards, maybe force a team fight, it turns from one bad thing into another bad thing. It's a whole bad thing snowball. We want to avoid that right now. And let's go ahead and get into game and see how this one shakes out. TLA sitting on 2-8, EG Academy dead even at 5-5. So TL should have their work cut out for them a little bit here as Karma and Kalista and Kennen all getting banned away.
So the Kennen ban is what stands out to me because this is one of Jenkins' best pick, if not his best top laner. He's really strong right now because a lot of teams around the world, especially LCK, have been trying to pick up the Kennen, and he's a Scythe laner. He can also assist in the team fights very well, and he's got fantastic TP flank. So there's a lot of value in this pick, but unfortunately, it's going to get nipped in the bud for Jenkins. He's not going to be able to play that one, and he truly has a Kennen that is a cut above the rest. So I want to see what he goes from here, because on blue side top lane you're probably going to be blinding, and starting with a set is a great way to blind your top laner since he can also be flexed into the jungle, but you're going to be sure that you can have some stability in the early stages of the game.
Absolutely. Let's see how Evil Geniuses want to respond to that one. Hovering over the Ashe right now, thinking about that one. Irelia, TF, Volibear all banned away. We've seen Volibear causing all kinds of ruckus recently. Turns out, after he had to get his initial suite of buffs after releasing kind of in a weak state, he's been just tearing everything to pieces. So not really surprised to see him not being a part of this game. But what is that, Crumbs? Oh my god, it's Ezreal in the bottom lane. We haven't seen that since at least the last game of League of Legends that was played.
Goodness gracious, Ezreal makes his way onto the Rift again. Yeah, we're not tired of him just yet, but we're getting close. We're getting close. It's like you're eating your meal and suddenly you're like, okay, there's a lot more to go, but it was tasty at the start. Okay, sure, there's a lot left. I'm not gonna, I don't wanna not finish my plate. It'll be disrespectful, so I'll make sure I'll finish it. So we're gonna stick with the Ezreal until he gets nerfed and we stop seeing him. It's a great combination with the Zoe, kind of trying to do the same thing as Varus Zoe, where you have physical damage, long-ranged poke to combo with her. So I think EG already wants to put a little bit of an emphasis in that physical damage to allow Zoe to shine so that the enemy doesn't have an easy time just stacking Merc Treads, stacking MR, buying QSSs, the cleanses, and suddenly Giyu's job has gotten a lot harder.
So much poke power just with those two champions picked up, and especially as a champion like Seth that's got no gap closer, it'll be fun to have to run into all those bubbles and mystic shots and try to just get to the artillery barrage that'll be heading your way. But Team Liquid Academy picking up some big artillery of their own. Senna locked in there for plenty of range power from their side, and uh-oh, here comes the Wukong. Now when you're playing one of these poke comps, Crumbs, it almost feels like an ARAM type situation up against Wukong, because you can feel great, everything's happy, everything's going fine, shooting off some projectiles all day long in the early and mid game. But then once that late game comes around, once you have to deal with 2 knockups per team fight coming out of the Monkey King himself, life can turn real different real fast.
This is a Monkey King that got a little bit nerfed, though. He hasn't gotten quite that nerfed, but the knockup duration on 10-14 got reduced from 0.75 down to 0.6. Now, it doesn't sound like quite that much, right? 0.15 seconds, but when you count into the fact that he's got 2 knockups, that actually reduces it by, what, you've got a 1.5 seconds to now 1.2 seconds. So it is significant when you have both Cyclones added to it, and now that we have the second rotation of bans, I actually want to touch on the Irelia first ban, because we opened up the segment with, hey, Irelia's going to be a really important pick here. And the fact that Team Liquid bans it on first side means that they thought this was a really high priority pick that they were not willing to first pick, but they totally could have seen EG first rotation, because it's a lot safer to take it here on the red side, since you can take those 2 picks at once and make sure that you have something else to signify the composition's synergies.
All right, let's see how these bans are going to shake out here. As you can see, Trundle, Galio, and Mordekaiser are already all banned away. The Olaf was picked up for Evil Geniuses as that last pick before the second round of the bans here did come rolling on in. Bard is banned out. Bard, a really good champion to accompany those poke comps, let you bully around in the lane early on. Also some good disengage power with the magical journeys, the bindings, and of course the power of the ulti to shut down engages and separate your opponents as they try to find some sort of coherent strategy for dealing with Ezreal and Zoe. Braum also being hovered here would be a lovely addition to this squad for more of that disengage and protection for these big cannons.
Lots of ranged auto attacks to help out with proccing Braum's passive or his concussive blows. Really useful to have a Zoe or an Ezreal that can dart in and instantly proc that, especially with the Mystic shots as well. So this is just super safe, and a lot of it is going to be how well can you punish the bottom lane. Because yes, and a Wukong can be strong, but it's weak as heck in the laning phase. And oh, Flowers! Kha'Zix got buffed, by the way. Kha'Zix on 10-14 got a hell of a lot stronger, especially in those isolated duels. This is the strongest assassin. Like, you just cannot 1v1 this guy, but his early kind of sucks. If he gets the ball rolling, he can definitely carry, but what the heck is okay, I got carried away with the brand, my bad.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I totally can appreciate this. We get to see something newer. Maybe if we start turning Ezreal into bug food, he'll stop being in every single game that gets played ever. I'm a fan of Kha'Zix. I like the purple bug champion. This is my second favorite purple bug. But maybe we'll get to see him pop off and seriously carry the game here, especially because when you're looking at that, Ezreal and Zoe both are incredibly easy pickings for that Kha'Zix if he gets his opportunity to stick to him there a little bit. Syndra, the last pick for TLA, and Poppy for EGA Academy, getting some more frontline there. So this is just 3 meatballs with Ezreal and Zoe to provide the damage.
Ooh, yeah, that's a solid poke comp there out of EG. You've got engage, you've got disengage, you've got a lot of physical damage to make sure that Zoe really shines. You've got a lot of crowd control. You have a power farmer that wants to take advantage of having some solid lanes, and I want to see what Team Liquid ends up doing with these lanes against what EG has shown, because now they're deciding whether it's the Set bottom or the Wukong. It looks like they've chosen to go with the Wukong, which is going to be totally fine. Set Senna is a powerful lane as well, but it's just a different flavor. I think the Set Senna has some more early game power and more kill pressure early, especially to set up your ganks. And the Wukong, well, we know what he can do in the top lane. He always tends to be a fantastic pick there.
Of course, the one thing that they will have to keep in mind with Wukong in the top lane against the Poppy does have the ability to use the Steadfast Presence to stop Wukong from dashing at her. She can definitely win out in the 1v1s like that. Steadfast Presence doesn't really do a whole lot against champions that don't have a dash because you can't cancel what doesn't exist. So we'll see how that shakes out as we move forward in this game, particularly with the Ezreal and the Zoe having to deal with a Wukong and a Kha'Zix, man. This is going to be a game of can they just constantly stay out of range? Because if either of those champs ever gets on top of them, lights out.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think they got changed at the end of Champ Select Flowers, but that looked like it was an Ignite Kha'Zix as well. So Grig might be just completely going out for Anda, as some of EG's worst games have been when Anda gets picked off. If he's dying early in those river fights, it looks bad. So Grig's trying to pick on a potential exploited area for Evil Geniuses.
That is what I love to see, the Chad Kha'Zix stepping up with the Smite Ignite. Let's see it. But first, we got to take a quick little break here. We're stepping away to build up some game delay. But once we're back, we'll have the game ready for you from the start. Don't go anywhere. Gentlemen, welcome back to Team Liquid Academy versus Evil Geniuses Academy. We are locked and loaded for our first matchup of the day. Competitive integrity has been carefully constructed over the course of the past 3 minutes or so, and we're about to hop on to Summoner's Rift with the Chad Ignite Kha'Zix looking to take down the Ezreal and Zoe and stop the Eternal Poke from 1,000 units away.
That's right. That is going to be the highlight for me if this Kha'Zix gets to pop off. Now, I want to just reiterate exactly what the changes were on 10-14. So it was the isolated damage that he gets from his Q. The number was moved from 100%, which means it was double the damage, to 120%. So a 20% increase in that is actually a really big deal because Kha'Zix is maxing this ability. It has a super short cooldown, and if you evolve your claws first, you obviously get that extra refresh cooldown on it if they're isolated, so you get to use that a ton more. It's just a shredding machine if you get to isolate targets. But let's see if EG can keep themselves in a tight clump, because as long as you're grouped up or you're next to a turret, the isolated damage won't do anything and the minions count too.
But if you're all grouped up, what happens when Wukong decides to break out the big stick and start spinning it around in a circle? Because everybody gets thrown up into the air, wait 2 seconds, everybody gets thrown up into the air again, Set's jumping around all over the place, molly-whopping some fools, body slamming them into the ground. This is going to need to be played cleanly by Evil Geniuses Academy, but also worth pointing out, the Team Liquid Academy is still only 2-8 on the record. They haven't been having the best of games here so far, so we will need to see some heightened levels of gameplay for them here. We're into week 6, Crumbs. Counting today, we've got 4 weeks left of gameplay in the regular season. It's time to start turning it on.
Yeah, and they're going to be turning it on with a level 1 invade. Braum and Olaf are ridiculous level 1. If Ricard doesn't spot this, ooh, okay. He gets slowed, second undertow. He has to flash. Okay.
He flashed away, but my man is looking pretty sleepy right about now as the damage comes through. He goes for the Haymaker, but that's not going to do a thing. First blood for Anda, and Evil Geniuses don't even take 1 minute getting on the board.
Oh, man. So he was pacing back and forth, and that pacing, that movement is what actually prevented him from seeing the engage on time. There is really no saving grace for him out of that move. There's really nothing that Team Liquid even got out of that. They couldn't get some deep wards in the top side. They just gave a kill over to Anda. Now, luckily, he can't base and spend right away, but Olaf is not the champion that needs to do that. He can start on blue buff with low mana and still be fine. So this is just a little bit of a starting bonus for Anda. So he's going to have a great old time when he finds his first space.
Dude, there's nothing better than being the jungler and having that cool extra 400 gold sitting in your pocket. Okay, the one thing better is actually being able to go back and spend it and start with double jungle item, because that's just OP. But in terms of how this went, man, it was just too little too late. By the time Ricard saw them coming, he had already been hit by the bubble, and he ends up taking a dirt nap.
Yeah, he had to flash straight down into the turret, but I think that range would have probably gotten him killed in the end. And now in the top lane, interestingly enough, Kumo is playing what I think was one of his best picks last split. In the playoff, we were always thinking, how is EG going to fare with Kumo? He's somewhat of a weak laner, and then they found Poppy as a pick for him to go up against all these fantastic top laners that would be all about gaining these advantages, and Kumo would do great. She's a pick that is actually pretty strong in lane and can be really relevant later. Now, it doesn't get the cancel on that, but she still does a ton of damage and ends up winning that trade.
Poppy is one of those champions that I feel like I see so seldomly these days. I was obviously aware that she has a new astronaut skin, but I'm actually pretty certain this is the first time I've ever seen it, because when she walked into the lane, I was like, why is Poppy green?
The only astronaut skin that I think everyone has played with is the Bard one. That's the one that everyone was super hyped for. And
oh yeah,
maybe the Gnar. There's some Gnar players, but maybe on the list of who's more popular, Poppy is below those two, and that's why we don't get to see her.
Maybe she'll make her way back into the game. She is fun to watch. I particularly enjoy watching her yeet people out of team fights with her ulti, so maybe we'll get to see some of that action here as we progress a little bit further into this game. You can see, though, because Jiu had the priority over the mid lane, he's able to go down there and try to see what Grig is getting up to. With the Scuttle Crab, that one is secured by Grig, as he's not going to be forced off of that by his enemy mid laner, as Kumo and Anda have worked together to secure the crab there in the top side. So nobody's getting too crabbed, everybody's having a good time. Neither jungler really getting too involved in the lanes just yet, happy to farm things out and keep it going along that pace. You can see Anda going back to the base right now, able to afford himself a little bit of extra inventory there with the double control wards as well as the Ruby Crystal thanks to that first blood.
Yeah, and Anda's not the jungler on the Olaf that's going to want to force anything into these lanes. He's more than happy to just base and get back to those camps as quickly as possible. Now, Kha'Zix can farm pretty quickly as well, especially on these major targets like the Gromp or even the buff. So that's why he goes for a bit of a full clear and is prioritizing those crabs. But he will start to be thinking about invades when you hit that level 6, when he's a lot more viable in those 1v1s, because he doesn't have flash flowers. This is still a flashless Kha'Zix that usually relies on a little bit more than just the leap to escape out of these tricky circumstances that you could find yourself in against a Zoe in the mid lane that can just suddenly hit you with a sleepy trouble bubble and you are dead.
Okay, for real though, I think that once both junglers hit level 6, since Kha'Zix has Ignite, he'll slam Olaf.
Oh, he will, because
Like,
Olaf
that-
pops
I don't
ult
think
and
that's
gets
even close.
less tanky.
Yeah, exactly. He pops ult, he loses armor, and every time Kha'Zix goes invisible, Olaf can't just stand there and right-click to win because there's nothing to right-click because the bug went invisible. The Ignite stops any of his healing from the auto attacks that he actually does get. I don't even think that fight ends up close, actually. I think Grig just eats him for breakfast. It's like one of those Animal Planet videos where I saw earlier today, Crumbs, on one of those nature is metal or animals are super awesome or something subreddits, where there's a bumblebee that got eaten by a praying mantis and threw its hands behind its neck and just ripped it out there and then just started eating the bumblebee alive. That's what Kha'Zix is going to do to Olaf if they get into a 1v1 once they have level 6.
Okay, that's one way to die as a Viking. I guess you die with glory, right? Right? As long as there's glory in the Viking life, then I think they'll be happy. You get taken over to Valhalla in that sense, and it'll start with a first Cloud Dragon, that's what Olaf wants to do, but I think the fight is a little bit closer than that between the Olaf and the Kha'Zix. The Olaf can definitely do a ton of damage as well, but I haven't seen it with the Kha'Zix buff, so it should probably take him 2 to 3
And the Ignite.
Qs.
That's
and
what's really making me feel this
The
way.
Ignite, and then the burstiness from the blue smite as well. So he actually has a lot of true damage that he's in a pack.
There's a ton of potential there for this dude to get some kills and get on the board with it. But like you said, first Drake of the game already went over to the side of Evil Geniuses. They're up almost 1,000 gold thanks to the first blood plus assist money, as well as just farming edges that they've acquired for themselves. Here comes Anda. Bottom lane, Ricard is the target. His flash is back up. He does manage to get away. This poor man is not going to enjoy having flash available for pretty much the entirety of this game at this rate, Crump.
And the sad thing is that because he's not playing support set, he doesn't get to take advantage of the Hex Flash fun that we all see with the sets where they love to get into the brush and pop the Hex Flash and get that Nimbus Cloak movement speed. So he's just stuck chilling down there. At least has the Tabis to be a little bit safer, and he's been farming decently. But the playmaking potential is completely nulled when you're dealing with the Ezreal Braum and you don't have a flash on your set. So bot lane's going to be even more chill. Top lane, we see how it's going, and both teams are pretty happy to farm things out. However, it looks like EG is already creeping up with 1,000 gold lead. That's really significant. It's a lot of it just mid lane farm, bot lane, and that first kill.
And look at Kumo's inventory. This is the Wukong you don't get to have fun itemization right here. Going for that early Thornmail. Remember, Wukong, especially with Conqueror, has a lot of healing. After he stacks up the passive, he gets extra regeneration. He's going to have extra armor. Makes him very powerful in extended fights against AD champions. And cutting down on some of that healing will be critical here as Kumo just brings down the hammer over and over again. Not afraid of this. Jenkins barely getting away there. 300 HP left. And now he's going back to base here yet again. Kumo is owning this lane, Crumb.
So why is he so unafraid? Well, it's the itemization that you just pointed out, because, yeah, Wukong can't kick his ass, so maybe the Kha'Zix could come in and has Ignite and Blue Smite, but Kha'Zix is also physical damage, and he can always use the ultimate to boot any one of these away. Let's see if Kumo finds a way to outplay it. He definitely has got the tools. Does he have the mana?
Kumo, can you get out of this one, buddy? Let's see it. He tries to go for the flash. The second knockup comes in. And just like that, with a bonk on the head, the Poppy is dead. Team Liquid Academy get themselves on the board and find their first kill of the game.
I just gotta eat my words, Flowers. I didn't get to see in the top corner. The Kumo's ultimate was on cooldown. He had no way out of that one. The one failsafe that he could actually use to avoid was on cooldown. We didn't get to see how that got used off screen earlier, but it was why he was able to get ganked and dive in a way that just looked like, oh, this is just sitting fodder from top lane.
And now Evil Geniuses will grab themselves that top side Scuttle Crab at least. So Team Liquid don't own everything on the top of the map. Evil Geniuses at least maintaining some of that neutral control as Anda will walk over, get started on the bigger, badder Scuttle Crab with the Rift Herald. See if he can pick that one up. Shouldn't really be a problem here. Kumo's made his way back down, and you are seeing the Olaf farm advantage here nice and early in the game. Anda having that one. Cinder Hulk fully complete also means he's pretty strong here with that jungle item Power Spike. Griggs still fumbling around there with the ingredients to the warrior, trying to make sure he can hit that Power Spike on his own. Level 7 on the Kha'Zix. We'll see here next time the camera pans to him what he evolved first. You can see because he's still the same armor color that he did not evolve the R camouflage at the beginning. And generally it's either going to be Q or R. So Claw's getting bigger as he tries to figure out how he can isolate these targets and tear them in half.
Yeah, big claws equals evolved Q. And I want to also look at Anda's build because we're used to Warrior Olaf, right? Olaf gets ahead, you go Warrior, but the way that you want to play Olaf right now is if you're up against one of these high burst junglers, whether it's a Kindred or a Kha'Zix or a Graves that can really kill you before you get to even come close, you want to go your Cinder Hulk. You still got a ton of damage with your Reckless Swing, and you're going to be just as useful. You're just not going to be as strong in bursting down somebody, but your gank potential is just as powerful, so you're not sacrificing a lot. You're simply protecting your assets. You're making sure that you don't go down so that you can continue to prioritize those objectives, which are how you win the game. Some people say there's too much objective focus right now, that the fights in the game revolves too much around who's fighting for these dragons, but whether that's true or not, the facts are, if you get those early dragons and you stack them, you're probably winning a lot more games. So EG is well on their way, and now 5 seconds on this dragon. They have the inside track, they've got the wards. Let's see if they defend it.
Everybody's showing up. Yu loses half HP there, tries to see for a chance at a bubble. Only ends up throwing it into the brush. Yama and Grig doing a good job predicting that they probably shouldn't walk in the narrow corridor when up against a Zoe. You love to see it. As Jenkins once again loses a 1v1 trade against Kumo here in the top side. Man, if Jenkins doesn't have help nearby, he just cannot go anywhere near this Poppy. This is Poppy's lane to do whatever she pleases with. Thornmail plus the Bomby Cinder in inventory now, continuing to have extra control over the waves. Olaf just throwing the axes around willy-nilly, doesn't even have to worry about it, just needs to zone these guys away from TLA. As the Scuttle Crab is secured here in this bottom side river. And here we go, Evil Geniuses Academy starting it up. Matt will be on the defensive posture just to make sure that he doesn't allow his opponents any opportunity to interfere. There we go. Second Drake over to Evil Geniuses Academy. And there it is, Crumbs. My favorite rift in all of Runeterra. Lo-fi hip-hop beats to study and gank lanes to. The relaxingest of the most relaxing. The Ocean Rift is here for good vibes.
Oh, she certainly is. And so is Shelly, as she will be now making her way to the bottom lane, trying to cash in on that Plague goal, helping out his bottom lane is Anda. And that drag setup, it looked like Team Liquid was going to contest it, right? They were all grouping up. Jenkins had base, he had TP, but because of Kumo's pressure in the top lane, he was able to walk, which means he'd be a lot faster to the fight than the TP. And it was those two wards in the river, not exactly the one in the Dragon Pit, but the one in the entrance bot lane and the right side of mid that bought so much time that made it really difficult for Team Liquid to find an avenue to make it into these fights. Now, look at the Team Liquid composition. If Rikara or Jenkins aren't there, these guys can't face check. None of them can walk into the poke that EG can throw out. So it becomes really tough for them if they don't have vision control and have set up wards for TP, or if the set isn't freed up. So it's really tricky for them to figure this out. And as long as EG continue to group up and have control over these choke points, the poke and zone control is going to be too brutal for Team Liquid to fight. They need to have a lot stronger of an control in the jungle, and it's got to be from Grig. You went the Ignite Kha'Zix. I haven't seen any invades happen just yet. I need to see him go in and fight and to try to take a scrap there.
And one thing that I think we also need to comment on here a little bit as we look at the fact that Team Liquid Academy acted like they wanted a posture around that second Drake, but then weren't ever actually able to go do anything, so it turns out they just got front row tickets to watch EG take it away, is when you play this Ignite jungling style, a lot of times you can say, okay, if I've got a champion with a gap closer, I'll jump into the pit, I'll try to smite it away. If it doesn't work, oh well, I'll sacrifice my flash and get back out. Well, if you don't have flash, Crumbs, all you're doing is running it down. As soon as you jump over that wall, you know it is a one-way trip. So it actually punishes you more for not having a decent contestable amount of control over these neutral objectives, because that steal potential just plummets unless you want to be your opponent's #1 source of free money. You might as well be a pyramid scheme hitting them up on Facebook after 10 years later from high school. Hey, hun, I got a wonderful money-making opportunity for you. All I have to do is jump over this wall and give 300 gold. Well, that's what it's going to be if you've got Ignite and you can't get back over the wall.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying, Flowers. If you can't get back over the wall, there's really not that much value that you can add, because it's not like a grave where you actually get to reset your leap. Oh, bites the stuff.
Oh no, he jumped right into the sleepy trouble bubble. Take a nap. Kha'Zix is out of there. No way to keep himself alive. And there's your easy money. One way or the other, Zoe is getting paid. And Evil Geniuses Academy find a kill.
Would have really loved to have that flash. Now, saying how the Graves actually has 2 dashes with the ultimate and the E, but now they're going to dive Yusui.
Oh no, Yusui! One more hit from Ando will do it. They try to get the Senna ulti in there to keep him alive with the shielding, but Yama is just a little bit too slow. And that means 3 kills now for EGA. Kumo looking for maybe if there's a chance to have something happen here. Nice plays coming out in the mid lane from Rikara, but I don't think they're nice enough. He's still looking for the kill onto Giyu, but the flash away from the Zoe makes it so he is perfectly all right. The problem with Zoe, you flash after him and don't immediately get the kill. He uses your flash to get out, as we're going to have another kill here in the bottom lane. It's Yama trying to stay alive. There's no ulti here for the man. Matt just tags him up, so definitely can knock him down.
It is just falling apart for Team Liquid. There is no lane that has pressure. Everyone is losing. Everyone's getting out farmed, and the objectives are all bleeding out. I felt so bad for Rikara there, because it's exactly why we hate Zoe. You said it, right? You flashed like, I got her. I was able to ult her in her ulti. This should be a free kill, but no. Lands the stun. You don't have Merc Treads, and she then takes your flash and runs away from you. It's just painful to watch.
EG Academy is just outplaying everything about Liquid Academy so far in this game. They've only got a 3-kill lead, but because they've got that first turret already taken for themselves, because they're winning in farm literally everywhere, they're 4,000 gold ahead at 16 minutes into the game. The next Drake is spawning. And as much as I can talk about how much I enjoy the aesthetics of the Ocean Rift, the fact also remains this is the strongest soul in the game. And they're going to get it in potentially under 6 minutes from now if they take this Drake and the next one on spawn. This is a nightmare situation for Team Liquid Academy. They've got to find some way to try to deal with this. As Matt steps forward, he goes for the Glacial Fissure, not really going to find a whole lot with it. Rikara takes some damage from the Zoe as Yama's forced to flash away over the wall into the safety of the red pit. But Evil Geniuses Academy just show no fear. Why would they have to? Unless Jenkins' Wukong, who is armed with the flash cooldown up and ready to go, can get in here and find a really nice initiation, I don't really see what Team Liquid's going to do to contest this one.
Even if he finds one, look at how tanky all these members are. The Braum, obviously a tanky. You've got the Olaf building tanky. He's not even going for a Black Cleaver. He's going Cinder Hulk Warmogs. This is just a meatball with no killing power. And then the Ezreal has a Frozen Fist. So even if you got on them, they're likely to survive the initial engage. So the burning of the flash is not very worth it. Now they're on Soul Point, and this just looks like it is the beginning of the end for Team Liquid. And you're saying that EG has outplayed them. I mean, they're playing well, but I don't want to go too far there, Flowers. 8 teams have outplayed Team Liquid thus far, so they're, you know, it's not the rarest thing that has happened. They are sitting cleanly in last place, and it's these compositions that aren't the easiest to execute that makes it so hard for them to come up with these advantages in the laning phase, because EG had everything that they had in order to just have priority in lanes, let your jungler do his thing, and suddenly it just feels like you're being constricted because your own jungler can't find a way to game.
And once more, you can't stop the Poppy. Rikara forced to completely run away from Kumo here, as And is also showing up, popping the Ragnarok. Kumo trying to get himself out now, as the TPs are coming in and the reinforcements are showing up. Jenkins finds the knockup onto both, and it will be your sacrificial lamb there at the start, but he may not be sacrificed alone. Kumo now the target of the entire wrath of Team Liquid Academy. And the top side of the map overextends, and Anda and Kumo are punished. Greed is a deadly sin.
Really good punish there, because look at the rest of the map. EG's no position to take anything else. It's only one wave that's going to crash in the mid lane, so not a lot was lost for them. It was a good commitment, and that's when you put the blame there on Anda and Kumo, greeding out to try to take Rikara. They thought he was just food. Since the beginning of the game, they've been killing him. They've been going down to the bottom, and he kind of dies, or at least get his flashes. But now that he's a lot tankier, it's a lot harder to take him out. Because oftentimes, even with the Senna set bot lane, you still see here and there the Blade of the Ruined King kind of split pushy build. But the new one is just definitely prioritizing full tank. You just go your Dead Man's Plate, you go Sunfire, you go Stone Plate, you just try to survive as long as possible, and you count on your base damages, your base values to do all the work for you, and usually that's more than enough, because Set is kinda strong.
Yeah, Set packs quite a wallop, even with just the base values. Important to point out about that Black Cleaver as the first item on Grig. A lot of people look at Kha'Zix, they've seen his performance in their solo queue games, and they're like, well, what's going on with this? Where's the lethality? What's the course of action here? But when you look at the enemy team, it's an Olaf and a Poppy that are both going to be stacking armor. It's a Braum that's already got a Gargoyle Stone Plate. And it's the 180 carry in the game that really likes itemizing more armor than 80 carries should normally want to itemize, with both the Iceborne Gauntlet and a Death Dance that'll be coming out here next. So considering every target you're realistically going to be hitting, aside from Zoe, will have 175 armor, lethality's not going to do a whole lot. So I really do like the adaptation there to make sure that you're going for percent armor penetration instead of flat coming out from Grig. Will it be enough? It still doesn't look like it, because this game is still everything coming up EGA, as they're pushing the mid lane together now with a group of 4, seeing if they can take down this tier 1 turret. There's nothing to even see. That thing is rubble. Moving up towards tier 2 now as Shelly is summoned. Remember, Shelly will be able to hurt this for about 60-70%, so they will need to put a little bit more work into this here with the auto attacks. And there we go. Blue turret destroyed. The words on your screen telling you all you need to know, as Shelly will not get another charge off onto that tier 3 turret. And Evil Geniuses Academy doing exactly what we would like to see them do, controlling the bottom side jungle of their opponents with 1 minute to go until that potential Drake Soul spawns. It is time to put up or shut up for Team Liquid Academy, because if you give away the Ocean Soul at 21 minutes, what do you do?
Well, you type in your all chat /FF, and then you have everybody else do the same thing. That's what you can do, but it's going to be really tough for them to find that fight, because Anda just did the same thing to Rikara that they've been doing all game. He chased him out of the fight. He was looking for a flank. He chased him, so he had to burn that summoner. And Yama just got, okay, disappears entirely. Like, there's no way they're fighting this with Flowers. This dragon has EG's name on it.
Yeah, Yama will spawn with 5 seconds left before the Drake actually appears. So let's see if they can get their jungler out. Oh! True shot barrage takes him down. Rikara's going to try to fight there. Goes for the haymaker, but it won't do a damn thing. Double kill for the Ezreal as Jenkins goes in. Too little, too late. He picks up a kill on the support, but that's a poor consolation prize for 4 deaths and an Ocean Soul. GG, practically being called here, as EG Academy will take yet another fight. They will take a 5k gold lead, and they'll take an Ocean Drake. I don't see a realistic world where TLA comes back.
There isn't one. There is definitely not one here. Some games, you just are able to put a stranglehold on them that is so tight that the enemy just doesn't have a way out, especially with the kind of compositions that they've drafted. Now that you've got Ocean Soul, you got a tank Olaf, you can literally sit at Baron until your poke does all the work. Now this fight is going to start with the Sleepy Trouble bubble, comboed beautifully with the Ezreal ultimate. And this is already when Senna is deleted, so there's no healing, there's no salvation. The only saving grace is that Jenkins is able to take one out, but it's the support. It's not really a really valuable kill there. You get something, but it's not like you took the bounty out of the Ezreal or the Zoe.
Okay, Crumbs. Excuse me. Took a drink of water, went down the wrong pipe. So, if there's a way back in this game for Team Liquid Academy, what is it? What is the Hail Mary play that you go for to try something? Because honestly, to sit back and hope that they make a mistake plan doesn't seem to really be paying any dividends.
Okay, so this is a stretch, but it's how far behind Team Liquid is right now that makes this the only possibility in my eyes, is that you need to get Grig into the back of the Dragon Pit. You need to have him sit in the Tri-Brush, and then you need to wait for EG to start it, and then you need to have him go into the pit and smite it away. If he was undetected, there could be a chance to steal it against EG, and then you can buy yourself some time. But from the position that he's in right now, they know exactly where he's coming from. They're not going to give him the opportunity. Poppy can always punt him out or put steadfast pressure to stop him, but EG is turning.
All right, we're starting things off as FLICKR goes in, looking to engage here. He's on the front line, tanking up. Gonna need to use the Haymaker here soon. Goes Drowsy. Giyu alone in the pit with Grig. True Shot Barrage fired off into the lines of TLA as Giyu goes on a killing spree, and Grig is the first casualty of this battle. With their jungler down, surely Team Liquid Academy have to just pack it up and head on home. Baron for EGA.
They did a really good job there in peeling back and making sure that the Wukong engage would only hit the front line. And it doesn't matter if you knocked up and shredded the Poppy and the Braum. They're not the ones you care after. The Zoe was able to get out, and if Grig had flash, maybe he would have actually been able to flash and follow the Zoe and maybe pick her up, but they would have still lost the Baron. And now you've got Soul, you've got Baron. I don't want to continue entertaining this idea, Flowers. It's not possible for Team Liquid to continue to bank on EG to make a mistake right now. They need to have just insane creativity here in trying to steal objectives, because that is the only way when you're really far behind that you can actually go for it. If you think about what Grig has to do, farming the game, farming is not going to get him anywhere. Right? The only thing he can do is steal one of these major objectives and sneak it from under EG if they don't expect it. So sacking a lot of the farm time to try to position themselves around for a flank is the right move, and all EG has to do to counter it is stay grouped. It's how they beat Kazakhs in the first place.
So we've already acknowledged that EG they're going to win the game here. But let's see how well they score in the challenge. Because the way I'm looking at it, you win on this Baron push, that's gold medal. You win in the next 5 minutes thereafter, silver medal. Team Liquid Academy's going after a play onto Kumo, but they're trying to expend all their resources onto the Poppy. They might be able to get him, and it looks like EG are making the call to sacrifice the Poppy in exchange for that bottom side inhibitor. You got the enemy tank, you got one of the Barons. That's a small win here for TLA, but losing that bottom lane inhib will mean they're having that loss of map pressure here for the next 5 minutes. FLICKR tries to get himself away, and EG just walk on back. They may have stopped the opportunity for EG, though, to continue to try to make a game-winning push by making the trade of Poppy for inhib.
It's the next best thing you can get, being able to pick somebody off if you have no means of actually taking a team fight against the 4-man squad. So this is a pretty good consolation prize, but look at the vision that EG leaves when they leave the bottom side of the jungle. You've got triple control wards down there. What they can do now, rotate to the top lane, try to shove that wave in, and then you can go into the Dragon Pit, or if it's cleared out in the way that TL is going for it right now, they can feel confident in pushing this lane because they know that they're not going to get picked off here if Team Liquid is to look for that play. They know they're not down there, so it makes a win-win situation to leave that vision after you left a side of the enemy's base, and now they should be able to get this one, and if they can get some poke, maybe get an inhibitor again. You're not counting on it, but we just know how much damage Giyu is packing when he can half HP Rikara, the tankiest member in a single path start.
All right, what I was talking about earlier, I said they would get gold medal if they win the game on this Baron push. Gold medal is now out of question, but they're still grabbing themselves a kill on the Kazakhs, who just goes poof before we're even able to see the fact that he is about to die. Now our top lane inhib is under siege here for Team Liquid Academy as Rikara tries to go in and stop these guys, making a last-ditch effort here to fight it out. Jenkins trying to follow up there with some spinning and some winning in the back line, but he's only got the first half of that equation as a triple kill for Ezreal spells doom and gloom for TLA. The 2 wins will remain as a duo and nothing more. This team going to go to 2-9 now as EGA will break that 5-5 record, put themselves up to a positive score here. Just going to go ahead, wait for that minion wave to continue pouring on in. Still got 10 seconds before Yama's back alive. All 5 players from EGA still pushing up here with this minion wave. Grig and Yasui trying to find any chance to do anything here, but 2v5, I don't know what that anything would be. Nexus now under fire, still just trying to pad the stats. Definitely wants to grab himself another kill. Matt's saying, all right, screw it, we're going to end the game, and there you go. Nothing to it for EGA, racking up an easy win against Team Liquid Academy.
That was impressive. That was one of the cleanest games we've had in Academy thus far. They started well with an invade that worked. The jungler got ahead. They got objectives. They stayed on course. They set up vision. They had TP plays. Like, this was a really impressive game out of EG for a team that I thought was going to have a hard time adjusting, missing out on Huni. That was really important for their wins and a lot of the team fighting. It never really got to that. They won the lanes, turned it into objective control, and just closed it like that.
Yeah, I mean, top side, Wukong never stood a chance against Poppy in the 1v1. Every time our camera panned up there, we were watching Poppy just bonk him over and over and over again. Kha'Zix with Ignite never really got to have any of those favorable 1v1 situations in the jungle to try to secure neutral territory control over the Olaf, because Olaf was just playing around his lanes instead. There was never any contesting of neutral objectives. And honestly, TLA just didn't seem like they had any sort of plays to make the entire game. The only time I really saw them go for it was there at the very end after they had already lost their jungler, and they're saying, all right, we just don't want to stand here and bleed out for another 10 minutes. Let's just go and see if we can win a miracle fight. And it didn't work.
If I have to give Team Liquid a lesson for when they want to play this Ignite Kha'Zix, you need winning lanes. You need 2 to 3 winning lanes. And when you take the Senna with a set, you're losing that lane. When you take the Syndra to Zoe, you're losing that lane. When you take Wukong to Poppy, you're also losing that lane. So with all 3 lanes getting pushed in, your Kha'Zix can never have the confidence to invade. He's never going to be backed up. So I like it, the idea, but the execution needs to be more rounded and have the composition think about how the Kha'Zix is going to play.
Exactly. You've got to make sure the lanes are set up to provide success for the jungler, so then he can set up and provide success for the lanes. It's all about working together in harmony as a team. But now we're going to go ahead and step away. On the other side of this break, we got TSM Academy going up against 100 Thieves Academy. You don't want to miss it. Stay right there.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with America's most awarded network, the one with unbeatable reliability 13 times in a row.
This network is one less thing I have to worry about.
Then you give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they could stay on for the rest of their lives.
You include the best in entertainment, and you offer it all starting at $35, because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.